Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome.
Okay. Yeah, welcome everyone. We see that lots of students are starting to join, so we're going to hold off for a little bit before we begin. Okay. We should have some music playing as people come in.
Some elevator music.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. That's a nice picture you have there.
Yes, our fall. I guess this is coming to a bit of the end now as we get into November. But yeah, we do have a beautiful campus all year round, and my favorite is definitely the fall.
Yeah. And the beautiful weather we have today, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the last this warm in November.
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of more participants coming in. Okay. Approximately how long is your talk, Tegan? Well, we're just waiting a couple minutes.
It will be about 30 to 35 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it in and around there. I have a timer here, so I'm going to try to do my best to keep it in and around there.
Okay, that's great. Okay, it's 10:32. Again, we'll just give again a couple minutes for people to get in.
Sure.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Again, we'll just wait a few more minutes. For those of you who are signed in, I'll just introduce myself and our guest speaker, Tegan. Okay. So my name is Julia Banks. I'm a teacher at Queen Wilson Secondary School, and I will be moderating today's event. Your speaker is Tegan, and I'll introduce him a little more formally again in just a couple of minutes, and I'll review with everyone essentially how things will run during this session today. Okay, so just hang in there for a couple minutes. Tegan, did you do one of these last year by chance?
No, my colleague Anna, she's also a graduate of the University of Ottawa, and so she would have run those. But today, no, this is my first time doing it. So I'm very excited. But I
Good.
likely have seen some of the students that are here today. They may have seen me, or they've definitely seen probably some of my colleagues, whether they're coming from the Peel region or whether they're in the Ottawa area. We've been around quite a lot of schools. You may have seen me or one of my colleagues already.
Okay. Excellent. How many students did you say were in one of these sessions before? You said there were
Uh,
quite a few.
yeah, like a few hundred. So
Okay.
I think they'll just continue to trickle in throughout. So if we
Okay.
wanted to get started, we definitely could,
Yeah.
and students will
Okay.
trickle in.
Okay. Will do. All right. So, yeah, we'll get started now. Okay, so everyone, I'll be the moderator today, and I'll be working behind the scenes. And Tegan is our rep from the University of Ottawa. So, welcome, Tegan. He is the liaison officer from the University of Ottawa, and he actually is a former St. Matt's student. And originally, his hometown actually was Mississauga. So I don't know if any of you can relate. So after high school, Tegan felt the best path was the university path, and so he enrolled in the Bachelor of Social Science and Environmental Economics at the University of Ottawa and Public Policy. In his undergrad, he added a minor in biology and a micro program in urban studies, and also participated in the co-op program there. He completed his master's degree at University of Ottawa in health geography, and he spent the last 8 years as a student at the University of Ottawa.
Mhm.
So he's here today to share his experiences with you. And I say without further ado, we allow him to begin with one caveat. Please do not raise your hand while Tegan is speaking. We won't be responding to raised hands today. If you have a question, please post your question in the question and answer icon there. We will be waiting until Tegan has completed his presentation, and then we will take his questions. Okay. If there's a really pressing, urgent question, you can put it in there, and I'll just make a quick judgment call to address it. But Tegan would prefer to hold all questions to the end because he may answer one of your questions before he gets to the end. Okay. And if there is anything inappropriate, which I know is not going to happen, but if there is anything inappropriate that comes up in the questions and answer window, students can be removed without any notice. Okay. So enjoy the session, everyone, and enjoy your day as well. Okay. I will shut myself off here, and away you go, Tegan.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Whether you're coming in from the, again, the Peel region, whether you're coming in from the Ottawa area, welcome to the University of Ottawa presentation. I'm very happy to be here today and to share my experiences, my journey, not just as a student working at the, being a student at the University of Ottawa, but also working for the University of Ottawa and helping guide students like yourselves through what is a very challenging and sometimes very complicated time as you transition from high school into post-secondary studies. So without further ado, we will get started. In terms of the University of Ottawa, we are a large institution. You may not know this, but we're one of the largest institutions, not just in the province, but across the entire country with 48,000 students. Now, roughly 41,000 of our students are at the undergraduate level, so what you will soon be either at uOttawa or at any other university you choose to go to. Now, 20% of our student population is international, which brings about different worldviews, different cultures, different languages, both spoken in class and throughout the campus here. I like to joke that the University of Ottawa really is a city within the greater city of Ottawa. So again, if you have not been to the city of Ottawa before, or perhaps if you call the city of Ottawa home, what you will soon realize by being on our campus is that, again, we are our own ecosystem, acting within the second largest city here in the province of Ontario, here in Ottawa. Now, our campus is equipped with 6 direct entry faculties. These are also known as undergraduate faculties. When it comes time for each and every one of you to apply to the University of Ottawa, you will be applying into one of the 6 faculties there. Again, we'll go into more detail in the presentation today, and at our fair as well, we'll have our view book, which I'll be referring to quite a bit. So I recommend downloading that if you do check out our booth set up today at the fair. Or you can go to your local guidance office there. Your guidance counselor will have at least a few copies of our view book in there. We also have 3 professional faculties. This information is also in our review book as well, and these can constitute our Faculty of Law, which happens to be the largest law school in Canada, our Faculty of Education, and our Faculty of Medicine. Now, overall, we have over 400 programs. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, I apologize. Again, we have 400 programs just at uOttawa alone, so a lot of different options that you can choose from. And in terms of scholarships and bursaries, for undergraduate students in particular, we give over $130 million away each and every year. Now, if you've been on our campus before, you will know that we are a high-rise university. This means that we're located right downtown in a major city center. Again, this is just a piece of the downtown core of the city of Ottawa. Now, one thing we take pride in is the fact that we're the only post-secondary school, be it university or college, to be located right downtown in the nation's capital. And we take pride in that because it means for you as a student, and for me when I was a student for all my 8 years, I was literally steps away from the best that the city of Ottawa had to offer in terms of the green space and the Rideau Canal, right, which becomes the outdoor skating rink in the wintertime. In terms of 2 student suburbs in Sandy Hill and Centertown, in terms of the historic Byward Market, which has the great nightlife of the city, which has the shopping and culinary scene of the city, and the arts and culture scene. And then, of course, Parliament Hill and the true downtown core just off to the left-hand side of the screen there. Now, our campus, unlike other downtown campuses, not just in Ontario, but across Canada, we are quite compact, which means as a student, you feel like you're on a university campus. And for me, this is a huge selling feature. This is one of the main reasons why I chose to stay here in the Ottawa area and attend the University of Ottawa. It's because of the fact that I felt like I was on a campus, while also being steps away from a large urban area and having tons to do beyond the campus if I liked. So all 48,000 students and all of our staff and whatnot are all within the bounds there, located again on our main campus. Now, one of the pillars that make uOttawa unique, stand out not just across Canada, but also internationally, is the fact we're the world's largest French-English bilingual university. What this means for you is as a student, you can take your entire degree in English, your entire degree in French, or you can do a hybrid of both. But by no means are there any French tests you need to complete to graduate. There's no French requirement, no French classes. Again, I always tell students I would not have attended the University of Ottawa had I needed to complete any French requirement. And so, again, if you're looking to improve your French, if you're looking, maybe you're in core French, as I was throughout high school, and maybe you're looking to just continue on perfecting the language, but you don't want to commit to an immersion stream. You don't need to. You can simply go into classes, teach you the language, improve your language. Again, if you are a French immersion student and you want to continue on in that, the University of Ottawa is the French immersion school for you. We have over 2,300 students entering into our French immersion program each and every year. And again, I'll go into that in the presentation today. But by no means, again, is there any French requirement if you don't like there to be. Now, going forward, talk about uOttawa in these three categories here: choosing a program, admissions and scholarships, and then finally we'll finish off with student life. Now, the first chance that most of you will have feeling like a university student, be it at the uOttawa or be it with any other school you're going to, is going to be choosing a program to take for the next 4+ years. And then with that, the academic path you're going to use to take that program. Now, typically you'll find that most honors degrees are going to be bachelor's degrees, honors bachelor's degrees. These are going to be 4 years in length, okay? So I would say roughly 75% of students that attend university, not just with us, but any other university, let's say across Ontario, will likely be going into an honors degree. Now, this represents roughly 80% of all the classes you're going to take throughout those 4 years. Think of it as more being specialized in a certain field. So for me, it was my environmental economics. 80% of my classes were in that distinction, and the electives that you're going to have will vary depending on what program you're in. Some are more constrictive, will have less electives. Some will have enough electives for you to be able to add a minor or add a micro program. In my case, mine had enough electives to add both. So again, it really depends on what program you're in. Again, if you have questions about certain programs, you can either ask us here or again at the fair as well. We're going to have sessions where myself and my colleague will be in the chat at our booth setup, and you can ask us questions there and we can direct you further. Some programs will have additional add-ons like options. These are ways that you can specialize further within that certain field. So for example, if you're going into biomedical sciences, you can then specialize in your second, third, and fourth year in neuroscience. Perhaps you're interested in going into biology. Again, my minor was in biology. I specialized in animal physiology and animal behavior, but I could also have specialized in plant science, for example. So these things allow you to dive deeper into whatever subject you're currently in. Whereas a minor or micro program, again, these are things you add on in your second year onward. These are things that you can use to expand to touch on different fields and different disciplines. So again, a lot of customization is the point to take today. At the very bottom here, you'll see your honors double degree. This is unique to uOttawa. What uOttawa has done here is we've combined 2 4-year honors degrees into one pathway for you. So instead of doing 4 years of one honors plus another 4 years, meaning 8 years consecutively, you're doing both honors degrees at the exact same time. So in about 5 or 6 years, you'll actually graduate with 2 different honors degrees. We've kind of streamlined both honors paths so that you're getting in and out rather quickly. And sometimes they're a combination of an honors and a master's. Sometimes it's a professional faculty that's added onto it. Sometimes, again, there are 2 separate honors degrees. If looking at engineering, for example, it's quite popular there. The other path you're going to come across, not just with us, but other universities, is going to be the major path. The big difference here, why students would take a major, is that if you have 2 very distinct passions that you'd like to take equally throughout your studies, I'd recommend looking into a double major or major minor combination here. Again, these allow you to do something like adding physics and theater together. Again, 2 very distinct fields, but if you have a passion for both, you can add those 2 things together seamlessly through a double major. Here are just some examples. You can do your honors in biomed, a minor in psychology, major theater, minor management, and so on and so forth. And of course, you can customize at the class level as well. You see all the classes in terms of electives that we have there listed. That's just a few of the hundreds that we have. Some of them are quite fun and quirky, like our witchcraft class. Now, here are the 6 direct entry faculties that we have here at uOttawa. I'm not going to go into detail on detailing each faculty. I'll let you discover that, be it at our booth today if you do have questions, or by looking through our view book, which has all these detailed and all the programs that are found in each faculty there. But you can think of our campus into 2 halves. We have the humanities half, which has the Faculty of Arts, the Telford School of Management, which is our business school, and then the Faculty of Social Sciences. Then we have the STEM side, Faculty of Science, Health Science, and Engineering. And again, overall, we have, with these plus our professional faculties, over 400 programs. Now, the professional faculties I keep alluding to are these 3 right here. So in order for you to go into our law school, our teachers college and school of education, or our medical school, you will need to have some level of undergraduate experience. Okay, so you can't simply just go into law school or medical school or a teachers college right from high school. You need to have, in most cases, usually around 3 years of university study completed, or have a bachelor's degree already in hand before you're able to actually be admitted into one of these. However, in our view book, you will find the admission requirements for each of these in there. And we do this because we like to encourage students like yourselves who already know that you want to become a lawyer, or your end goal is to become a doctor or become a teacher, to take a look at the requirements now for your end goal. Think about what do you need to get into your end goal, and then work your way backwards. That can alleviate a lot of stress going forward, and also can help you justify what undergrad is best for you. And again, if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer that. You can throw them in the chat. Now, on to the second section, our admissions and scholarships. Now, what do you need to get admitted to uOttawa? I always joke with students when talking about this. This is the easy part here. This is the part that will look very similar no matter what university you're looking at here in Ontario. So we'll take your OSST, your Ontario Secondary School Diploma, aka you need to graduate from high school. That will always be step one for any post-secondary studies. Step two is going to be your top 6 4U and/or 4M grades. At uOttawa, English 4U will always be a base requirement. So no matter what program you're applying to out of high school, we're always going to take your English mark. Some of you may just have English and no other prerequisites or requirements. So we'll take your English mark and then your top 5 other best marks at the U or M level. And those 6 all together will need to be your average. And those 6 will be taken to determine if you get an admission scholarship or if you get admitted to the program in all. Now, some of you may have additional requirements. I think about business, for example. You want to go into TEL for School of Management. We'll take your English, your advanced functions, and your calculus. And then from there, we have 3 classes. We still need 3 more. So then we'll take your top 3 other best grade 12 marks at the U or M level. And then those 6 will constitute your admission average there. Now, you need to apply to any program at uOttawa and across Ontario by January 15th there. Okay, and you apply on OUAC. It's all done. Every university is on the same platform. Now, this is the part that gets messy because every university will operate differently. It would be very nice for me to tell you today that we all will send out offers during the same week using the same criteria, but that is simply not the case. Here at uOttawa, we send out offers in 3 different rounds. We start in December and we go all the way till July. The first round there, we're taking your top 5 grade 11 marks, okay? And any completed grade 12 classes. Sorry, excuse me one sec. Any completed grade 12 classes. So we won't take any midterm marks. If you're a dual semester school, for example, we're not going to take your midterm marks for first semester. We're simply looking at completed grade 12 classes and then as well grade 11 classes. Most of you that haven't reached ahead already and having completed a grade 12 class at the U or M level, we'll be looking strictly at your grade 11 marks. So if you did well last year, this is your time to shine. Now, if you don't get an offer in the first round here, you don't need to reapply for each round. You simply will be automatically moved into the next round on our system, okay? So that starts in February and goes until May. This is where the bulk of students will receive their offers. So if you don't get an offer in the first round, there's no need to fret. The bulk of students will get offers in the second round here. Now, taking your top 6 going forward, 3 U or M and 4 U or M grades, minimum of 2 grade 12 classes will be taken at this point here. Then the final round, if you don't get in the second round, is from May to July. And at this point here, we're taking your top 6 4U or 4M grades. And only in the final round here where we send out alternate offers or refusals. So you're not going to hear a no from uOttawa before May, okay? I should mention as well that in terms of midterm marks, we will only take your midterm marks in your second semester. So when you start your new semester in February and you're taking your new set of classes, at that point there, we'll begin to look at your midterm marks throughout as they're put in with guidance. And again, you can speak with your guidance counselors with regards to when those marks are being put in. It's usually pretty quick from when they put it in to when universities like uOttawa get those. Now, in terms of supplemental applications, we get asked a lot about this, especially in the GTA area, because it is a bit more common for schools in Southern Ontario. Now, we don't have supplemental applications. You'll notice that for the majority of our programs, we're just going to take your grades. We're not going to look at any extracurriculars. We're not going to ask for an essay to be written, even for our more competitive programs in nursing and computing-based programs. However, there is a small asterisk, and that is here, the Declaration of Personal Experience. The DPE, as we refer to it, is an optional document that you can write virtually. It asks you 3 simple questions regarding what's been happening in your personal life and how has it impacted your ability for academic success. It is open to all students. It is a free document that you can submit, and it can only help you and cannot hurt you. We recommend writing it if you have not received an offer after the first round. Okay, and at that point there, we will be assessing you based on your grades, and then perhaps if it comes down to it, if it's between you and other students, let's say to get those few final spots, we'll then look to see if you've written the declaration, and if you have, that'll give you a leg up because it gives us context to perhaps why your grades may not be as strong as you'd like them to be. Maybe you're taking care of a loved one or a younger sibling every day after school. Maybe you're involved in student council or involved in your community with volunteering. Maybe you're a varsity athlete at your school. All these things will take time away from you being able to do well in school, both physically and or mentally. Now, in terms of financing your studies, as I mentioned, we give $130 million every year to students in scholarships and bursaries, and I can't go through all of them today, but what I will highlight is the one that we get asked about the most, which is the automatic admission scholarship. Our cutoff average here is 85%. 85% in your prerequisite marks or above, you will be getting $1,000 at least for your first year, up to $3,000. Now, let's say you were admitted, hypothetically, in the first round. You get admitted on grade 11 marks last year. You do really, really good last year. You get a $3,000 scholarship because you're at a 96%. That's excellent. But by the end of grade 12, and we're making sure, well, did you graduate? What grade are your grades at the grade 12 level? Do you have all the prerequisites at the grade 12 level? This happens in July, called the final rescan, when we're assessing all the students. Let's say your average has dropped down to an 86 at the end of grade 12. We'll still give you $3,000. We won't take that money away. So long as you stay above 85%, you keep whatever dollar amount you were offered initially, if it's a higher dollar amount. If, let's say your average goes up from when you were first admitted and first offered 1,000 to when you finish grade 12, and now you're at a 91 average, right? Now your average has gone up because you had a really good second semester. We'll then give you a new letter of offer with the higher dollar amount. So we're always going to give you more, never take it away, as long as you stay above 85%. Now, the last section here is just why students would choose to come to uOttawa. And the first thing here is with our French immersion program. As I've alluded to, we are a bilingual school. And one of the nice things about that is that we have a really, really extensive French immersion stream. If you are currently enrolled in French immersion, if you are a French speaker, if you are comfortable speaking in French or want to continue on down this journey, or perhaps begin it for the first time, but again, are also interested in French and are able to speak it, again, I'd recommend looking into our French immersion program. To see what programs offer French immersion, you'll be able to look through those in our view book there, starting on page 38 and going to page 53. Now, you'll take 2 classes in French each semester of your 5. You do that, you get $1,000 off your tuition automatically, and that's on top of whatever else you may be getting. Now, you can write all of your work that you're submitting for grades, be it essays, be it final exams, be it lab reports, all in English. And that's the big winner there. A lot of times students get confused by this, and it makes sense because if you're in French immersion now, you'll know that it doesn't just stop when you have to write things. You have to also write things in French. But our version of French immersion here at uOttawa keeps you immersed in the language by having you in French lectures in those 2 classes each and every week, and also by you reading it for those textbooks, right? Your exam will be handed to you with all the questions being asked in French. However, you can choose to submit your responses in English, especially if you feel like you could get a better mark on your essay or on your lab report by writing it in your first language. Again, our goal is not to have it impact your grades, but rather to have you stay immersed in the language. And that's why French immersion is such a popular thing here for students to take at uOttawa. Co-op. Again, as mentioned at the very beginning, by our moderator, I was a co-op student. Co-op was one of the single best decisions that I made in my undergrad. If your program offers co-op, I highly recommend going into it. You can apply for it in most cases on OUAC when you're applying to your program. And again, you do your 1st to 4-month work terms summer after your 2nd year. You're going to do 4 months of work and then 4 months of study, 4 months of work on and off. These different work placements there can be done with the same employer. Different employers is really up to you. Now, as you see that it will push your degree by 1 semester, but it's a small price to pay because you're actually making money. And that's the big difference between co-op and high school and university. In university, you will be making money. At uOttawa, between 40 and 60, I would say even up to $65,000 you'll make over those four terms collectively. And you're getting 16 months of work experience. And this work experience, as I've alluded to, can be done in Ottawa. Maybe if you're from the Peel region, they can be done back in Mississauga, back in Brampton, back in Caledon, or they can be done anywhere across Canada. As you'll see here, students really going coast to coast to coast, or even internationally. So if you're looking to get a bit of an international fix out of your undergrad experience, again, you can do so through doing an international exchange, which is taking classes, which we have an extensive program for that as well, or as I'm highlighting here, through an international co-op. Now, you can also get involved in a variety of other ways. Research. Now, we are a U15 university. Now, looking at the universities that are here today for the launch event, there are many other U15 schools. By looking on Google, U15 Canada, you will find the 15 research-intensive universities across this country. What that basically means for you is at the undergraduate level, you will have opportunities that typically only graduate level students have and PhD level students have. And as a student who's been through undergrad and grad studies, I can now attest to the fact that, yes, this is very true. Things that I was able to have access to at the undergrad level here at uOttawa, students that are attending non-U15 schools, they don't have access to those types of things. The funding is unbelievable from both provincial and federal levels, and it just allows you to enhance your experience, become more competitive ultimately when applying to other jobs or applying to further studies. If you want to do your master's, you want to go off to med, law, education. Again, these are things that will help make you stand out. So if you're thinking about what universities to narrow down to, and perhaps you're interested in continuing your studies in law, med, education, veterinary studies, dentistry, urban planning, any kind of professional faculty, I highly recommend starting your looking with the U15 schools like uOttawa. You can also get involved through clubs and associations and build your resume, again, through clubs that are academic-based, athletic-based, political-based, cultural-based, and so on. And then volunteering. Now, there's no requirement here at uOttawa to have 40 hours like you do right now in high school in order to graduate here in Ontario. However, we do still encourage students to volunteer. Once again, if you're interested in going into law med education, if you want to continue to give back. And we have a co-curricular record, so we will keep track of whatever volunteering you are doing and write that down for you, and perhaps for future employers or for you to be able to show on future applications. Residents. Now, this may apply to students, again, that are here today from the Ottawa area, but also from the Peel area. I imagine if you're from Mississauga, you do not want to be commuting back and forth between the GTA and Ottawa every day. So residents may be top of mind. In our view book, we'll highlight residents in a lot greater detail. But one thing to keep in mind is that we have guaranteed housing for all first-year students. Okay, guaranteed housing for all first-year students. No matter if you're from Ottawa or you're from outside of Ottawa, doesn't matter. Guaranteed housing. We also have free Wi-Fi in all residences. Now, in terms of our residences, we have 11 different styles. Sorry, 11 different residences in 4 different styles. We have our traditional style, traditional plus, studio ensuite, and then there are apartment style. Now, when it comes to the traditional style, what you see in the movies, a desk, a dresser, and a bed. If you like community living, this is a great spot for you, right? Because you're living very communally, sharing bathrooms and kitchens with your floor mates and your peers around you. If you like community, but maybe not that much community, you can go with traditional plus, which adds in a bathroom. So a bit of added privacy there. If you like the traditional plus model, but maybe you'd like the convenience of storing your own food in your room, then I recommend a studio and suite model. This one there has a kitchenette, so sink, a microwave, and a fridge added on with the bathroom. And then finally is the full-fledged apartment style. So a lot of different options, 11 different residences. And again, you can begin applying for those as of December 10th, and you need to have an offer in hand in order to apply. Very important, you do not need to accept your offer to actually apply to housing. You have to just have an offer in hand, and you can put down a deposit, go through it, secure yourself a spot in residence. If you then choose that uOttawa is not for you, or residence at uOttawa is not for you at the end of the day, and you want to go somewhere else, that's completely fine. We'll reimburse you the majority of that deposit back. Okay. Food services. What you will quickly notice when looking at our housing pages in our review book is that food is very much attached to that just because of meal plans. So some of our meal plans will be mandatory depending on what residence you're in. So for traditional style, Henderson and 9DU, but for a lot of them, they're actually not mandatory. And that's quite unique when looking at other schools here in Ontario. Some schools will just have all their residences have mandatory meal plans, which of course then adds on quite a bit to the price. Whereas if you prefer not to have a meal plan, you can begin looking at residences that do not offer meal plans. Now, in terms of students that are not living in residence at all, you can still get a meal plan. Again, coming from an Ottawa school, again, I did not get a meal plan. I chose to save that money. But I did get a hybrid plan where basically I loaded money up in terms of flex dollars. So these are non-taxable university dollars onto my student card. And I use that to treat myself from time to time, especially during exams in our dining hall and in any of the other 23 different locations that you can choose to eat on our campus. Okay. In terms of health and well-being. So on page 8 and 9 of the view book, you'll find information about health and well-being services. Again, we have a variety, including a brand new wellness center for students, coaching and counseling, pet therapy, which is my personal favorite, being a massive pet owner, a variety of health-based services, both for physical and mental health, then a variety of other ways that you can meet other people, be it through cultural events, be it through more active events. So if you're looking to sort of release some steam through various studios like dance studios, yoga, Zumba, Pilates, kickboxing, self-defense, swimming, open lane swim, we have all those things through our sports services as well. I should also mention if you have an IEP, you can get that accredited for you at the University of Ottawa. We recommend that you reach out to our academic accommodations team prior to, or rather once you have applied to the University of Ottawa. You don't even need to have an offer back in hand. Reach out to our academic accommodations to inquire with them with regards to what IEP you'd like to get transferred over. And then from there, we'll give you more or less a checklist of things that you need to complete in order to have that accreditation met here at uOttawa. Now, in terms of important dates to keep in mind, these are the 3 dates that you should be familiar with, no matter where you're looking at here in Ontario. This is the date from when you can start applying, September 19th, when you need to apply by, which is January 15th, and then finally the deadline to accept your offer. So you have until June 2nd, okay, for any program here in Ontario, you have until June 2nd to let us know if you'd like to accept your offer or not. In between that, we're doing a bunch of things. So we had our fall open house happen on the 26th of October. We'll have our spring open house coming up on the 23rd of March. If you have not been to uOttawa yet, if you have not been on our campus, whether you're from Ottawa, whether you're from outside of Ottawa, I highly recommend going to universities. For me personally, this going to an open house was one of the single best decisions that I did when I was in high school, because it allowed me to visualize quite literally by being there what it was going to be like to be a student there. And that's how I fell in love with the campus of uOttawa. I really got to see that how close we are to the downtown core. Again, being in Ottawa is one thing, being as a student, but let me tell you, your whole experience in Ottawa will change once you become a university and post-secondary student. Just because there's so many new things at your disposal, being downtown every day as well opens the door to so many new things and new opportunities and new experiences. And then for those of you in the Peel region, we'll be back in your area in the February, around that time period, the 18th and 28th. And then again in Ottawa, we'll be back in your schools for those of you that have applied. Okay, so if anyone that's applied to uOttawa, we will be in your area no matter where you're from here today in February. And then I will conclude on this slide here saying thank you so much for your attention. Thank you again for attending our presentation. And what I will do now is I'm going to turn off the shared screen here so that I can come back and sort of see all the participants here and then go through your questions with our moderator, Julia. But thank you again, folks, and enjoy the launch event and enjoy grade 12. It will go, I'm sure it went by quickly for many of you. Enjoy it, enjoy prom, enjoy grad, all those good things. And again, we'll transition now to answering some of your questions.
Okay. All right. There's quite a few questions here.
Okay.
Some of them are very specific.
Sure.
So what I'm going to try to do first is just go through a couple of really quick, easy answer ones for you.
Okay.
So someone was asking when the booth is. I guess that's for the launch.
Yeah, so you should be able to go into the launch event now, and you can go to the fair, and you'll be able to. A lot of the booths will have hyperlinks that you can click on. So when I keep talking about our view book, you're able to find one of the big banners that we have at our booth today is in the view book. So you can click on that, and we'll have people moderating throughout the day as well. We'll have information when you go to our booth. You should find information about what chat times we're there. I believe I'll be there this afternoon, for example. So once the school day ends for you, I will likely be hopping on there. And if you have more questions or want to chat some more.
Okay. And a lot of the questions are very program specific.
Sure.
So I will say real quick before I get into any others for the students is if you just go on to the University of Ottawa, type in the program you want, University of Ottawa, and a lot of the information you'll be able to find specifically there. Like one question is the Bachelor of Social Work available only in English or French?
Yes.
And I believe,
yeah.
If you know the answer, I think.
Yes, 100%. So social work at uOttawa is only available in French. If you're looking for social work and you're looking to stay in Ottawa, then Carleton University will have the English equivalent to that. So we have funding to offer it in French. They have the funding to offer it in English, and that's sort of how we've worked out that to serve both communities, both the French and English communities.
Yeah. Okay. Someone asked how many possibilities are there in the University of Ottawa? Again, I would say to that individual, just go onto the University of Ottawa website and type in different programs and departments. And really, it's just exploring the website, unless you want to add anything to that, Tegan.
Well, again, I think your best friend in this kind of scenario here, no matter what university, because that question does apply to really every school that you may be seeing today, go check out those view books. I know I'm like a broken record. I keep saying that, but the view book is designed for you. It is built, it is created, and it is distributed for you specifically. If you like a paper version, again, I guarantee there will be some in your guidance office. If there's not, you can let your guidance counselors know, and they will send me an email, and I will ship them out to you. But otherwise, do pick those up either virtually today. You can download them at our booth, or go see your guidance office there. And in the view book, we'll have all of our programs there, all the different faculties that I mentioned, and even the professional faculties. All that information will be in there for you, and you can go through it in a nice, clean, clear table format.
Okay. There's a question about, I think you talked about this, but just for clarification, about the University of Ottawa. When do they take into consideration 3 grade 11 courses or 3U courses?
Yes. So if you're applying, I would say within the next week and a half, you will still be eligible to be getting an offer in the first round. We start sending out offers end of November, beginning of December, and then also in January. And at that point there, we don't have for most students, we don't have any completed grade 12 classes. So if for our first round, we're taking some grade 11 marks, and the majority of them will actually be grade 11, most likely, top 5. And again, any completed grade 12 classes at that time. And then as we transition into February, if you haven't got an offer yet and it's now February, we will have whatever classes, if you're a dual semester, let's say, we're going to have whatever classes you've currently completed in your first semester of grade 12. We'll have those grades. We'll be taking some of those that are applicable for your program. And then we'll be using your grade 11 marks at the U/M level to fill in whatever's necessary, whatever's left.
Okay. And just a clarification for that when they're applying online, there is that little form. I think you called it a DPE. So that for one of the questions is they do a lot of sports in their free time.
Yeah.
That can be placed there. But students were asking basically where do they access that? How do they submit that? Is that just part of the regular application process? How does that work?
Yeah, so you'll be able to find declaration of personal experience. So once you have applied to the University of Ottawa, you'll get your university credentials, if you will. You'll be able to log onto your student profile, and from there you'll have information. But again, we will send every student that has not received a letter of offer an email with regards to that. So one of the perks about this process in a way is that once you have applied to the university, all the things that come next in terms of reminders about the admission, important dates and deadlines, and things that you want to, like the declaration of personal experience, you'll get emails about that as well. And you can also look it up online. If you'd like to get a better description or a deeper description from what I gave, type in the declaration of personal experience uOttawa, and you'll be able to find that there.
Okay. What I was going to ask you just got taken away. Okay, so someone asked, how do you access the recording of this session? I believe all participants will receive an email at the end of the session, and you will receive an email with access to the session. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can they choose? The guys just keep going up. Can they choose their own combinations for a double degree, or are they predefined?
Great question. So that honors double degree I was talking about, those are predefined. And you'll know which ones are double degrees because in the view book, they're going to have little yellow icons. So you may have noticed there was a little yellow icon on the slide deck there, and those represent dual degrees. And you'll see them. They're very clearly outlined in the view book there, which ones are. But you can combine different things in terms of joint honors. If you wanted to do a double major, as I was talking about, maybe you're interested in two very distinct fields. You'll find on page 59 of our view book specifically what majors we offer. So what two things you can combine together. And keeping in mind, you need to have the prerequisites to get into that. If you want to take physics, you need to have taken some physics in grade 12 in order to be admissible for that program.
Okay. And if someone's missing a class that's required as a prerequisite for the program they want to go into, I'm assuming that person's in grade 12.
Yeah.
They're asking, can they take that class during next semester? I'll answer that question. That question is, yeah, you would need to go see your guidance counselor right away to see if you can get into that prerequisite course that you need for the program that you are wanting to enroll into. And then Tegan, from your end, if they're taking that prerequisite in the second semester of applying, it just means that they will be in a late submission, I guess.
No, actually. So no matter what university you're going to, folks, and this also applies to colleges as well, every offer you're going to be receiving when you're applying to all these schools is going to be a conditional offer. And it's conditional on the fact that we believe that you will have graduated when you're supposed to graduate, that you're going to have the grade 12 equivalents that you're going to need by the end of grade 12, and that you're going to have the grades that you need, right? If we're admitting you in December on grade 11 marks, well, we're going to make sure in July when you finish and you graduate from grade 12 that you have graduated, that you have the classes and you have all that criteria. And this is why every offer you're going to receive in the letter, it will say this is a conditional offer of admission. And what it basically means is that if you have not completed those classes after second semester, if you have not graduated on time, if you don't have the average that you need, that's listed very clearly in your letter of offer, if those criteria haven't been met, then universities like uOttawa and colleges too will have the ability to take back that offer. Okay, so what's important here is that you keep your foot on the gas pedal and that, yes, grade 12 marks will still matter at the exact same level as any grade 11s that we may be taking. And any midterm marks, we're still looking at final marks, all these things. At the end of the day, your final top 6 4U, 4M grades, including all prerequisites, that will be ultimately what keeps your offer if you do have an offer. But again, you can take things in second semester. That's completely fine. As long as we see it, and we'll see it because you'll be registered to take that, right? And when guidance submits what you're registered for, we'll see it at that point there.
Okay. There's a question I had here. Thank you for that. And it just got bumped here. Okay. How are varsity sports teams selected? And are there special scholarships for university sports athletes?
Yep. So in Ontario, I believe it's around $4,000, which is the maximum that a university here in Ontario can provide its students in terms of a sports admissions scholarship, if you will, a sports entrance scholarship that can be renewable. The in terms of the scholarship, the sports team itself, the varsity sports team, it's up to their decision and their discretion. It's not based on your, top six for U and 4M. It's simply based typically on performance in most cases there. For our top tier varsity teams, and this goes for every university, there will likely be recruitment in place. If you're worried that you're not going to be scouted and recruited by a team, what I recommend for uOttawa at least is to reach out to our coaches. You go on ggs.ca. You'll find a directory of all of our varsity teams and varsity coaches, and they like to be reached out to directly. Reach out to them, put the fact that you're applying to Ottawa, that you're interested in coming here, and then from there, they'll be able to help you out.
Okay. And for a student who's in grade 11 and wants to apply to university, just asking, should they apply after grade 11 or after grade 12? And I think I can answer that too,
Go
is
for
you
it.
would be applying during your grade 12 year.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. How can volunteering experience help with your admittance?
Again, a declaration of personal experience. When you're writing that letter, or the answering those three questions, they're going to ask you basically what extracurriculars, what are things you're doing beyond the classroom, and how have they impacted your ability to do well in class. And that's when you'd pipe up and talk about any kind of experience like that.
Okay. And are they able to apply to scholarships even after they've applied to the university?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure, for sure. Scholarships and bursaries I know can be a very tricky thing because some universities will have scholarships you need to apply for before. There'll be some private donor scholarships like the Strulick or the Lorraine, these big dollar amount scholarships you'll have to apply for by January in some cases, by October in some cases. But no, at uOttawa, again, in our view book, there is a QR code that links you to over 1,600 other scholarships that are not listed in the view book. But in our view book, we'll have some of the more popular ones that students ask us about, and then we have a link to more scholarships there. But there's a whole bunch, and then once you get into university, there's even more scholarships that you can apply in for. These through in-course scholarships, faculty scholarships, things like that.
Okay. Do you have to apply to all three of their chosen programs at the same time?
No, you don't need to. No, you not need to. The most important thing to note with just programs and applying is that you can only apply for a maximum of 3 programs at any university in Ontario. And you get 3 options to apply, and you can use them all for one school. You can use them for all different schools, whatever combination you'd like for those initial 3. And then again, you can always add on, but it will be an extra charge from OUAC. I believe it's $50 now for every additional option you have there.
Okay. Really quick, can you apply in February?
No, you need to apply if you're looking to study by next September. The deadline to apply for Ontario universities is going to be on OUAC is going to be January 15th.
Yeah. Okay. And these questions, guys, questions like this, if you kind of forget, you can go ask your guidance counselors and they'll know the answers as well. So I have a student asking about ESL students.
Yes.
What about ESL students? How might that work? What things are in place maybe to help ESL students?
Yeah, so we have various things in place to help students out, not only through our mentoring centers, which we have, I believe, over 15 different mentoring centers, including those for students that let's say are coming from outside of Canada that haven't done all their studies here or haven't done all their studies in an English-based program. One thing that's important to note with students that are from outside or that haven't spent at least 3 years studying, let's say in Canada in an English or French school or in a school internationally that was in English and in a country where English is a primary language, they will be required to write a language test. And that will show up when they do apply for the University of Ottawa. In their letter of offer, it'll say the conditions that they need to meet. And the language test will need to be completed for that. And there'll be certain dates and deadlines. But again, if you have questions about that, you can always reach out to us and we'll help you, our admissions team will help you navigate through that process.
Okay. There's a question here. I'm not totally sure the context of it, but they're taking a French class in English school. The code is FIF4U. Is that an equivalent to FR4U? So I'm not sure if that person is saying just a grade 12 university French level class versus a grade 12 French immersion university level class. Does it matter for either one, I guess, when you're applying to University of Ottawa?
Okay, so if you're looking, sorry, if you're looking, if I understand correctly, if you're looking at the requirements, if it says FRA for you in the view book there as a requirement, that will be only for students that are studying in a French, French school board. So if you're in a French school, we'll be taking your FRA for you. The equivalent for those of you that are coming today from an English school, we'll take your ENG for you, your English class. So if it says FRA and you're like, which one are they going to take if I took some classes in French or English? Again, we're just going to be taking your English for you. For the majority of students that are here today, I don't believe there's any French boards, school boards that are here. I think it's just the Peel Region and Peel District School Board, and then the two Ottawa big school boards as well, which are all English school boards.
Okay. And if someone's applying to a French program, then they'll be looking at their French school. But what if they're in French immersion in an English school and they want to apply to a French program? Do
Yeah,
they?
again, what we'll do is, so if you're applying into a French program, we may and you haven't done any French studies. Let's say you're applying, like you've done all your studies at Korean Wilson, right? An English school. And then you want to go into, and you didn't do any French immersion, you want to go into a French program, there may be a language test that's required. But if you're applying into French immersion, there will always be a placement test, no matter what. So even if you did French immersion in high school, we will require a placement test. And again, that information will be highlighted on our website for French immersion. And also in your letter of offer as well as something you need to complete ahead of time. These placement tests, you can't pass it or fail it. It's more so to let us know where you can be placed and if your French competency again is enough, if your oral comprehension to be able to excel at least here at the University of Ottawa in our French immersion program. But yeah, language requirements may be taken into account again if you wanted to take all your classes in French or in English.
Okay. Student, quickly, can you apply to the University of Ottawa during your first semester of grade 11?
No, you'll have to wait until grade 12 to be able to apply to universities here.
Okay. Does the University of Ottawa, again, you can look at these online, folks, but does the University of Ottawa offer a pharmacy program in English?
As of right now, no, our pharmacy program is new here at uOttawa, and we're starting off by offering it in French. I don't have information from the higher ups, from the management teams, whether or not we're going to offer it in English anytime soon. But as of now, we do have a biopharmaceutical science undergrad program. And again, in pharmacy, you will see that you need to complete some years. I believe it's 2 years of university study at the undergrad level before going into pharmacy. And so if you wanted to start off in a biopharmaceutical science program and then apply to another school that offers it in English, you can do so. But again, biopharmaceutical sciences at uOttawa would be a great first step.
Okay. How different is it to apply for an undeclared major? Are there any specific things that they would have to do differently?
No, necessarily. No, we have again, there's nothing different with the application process. So in this case here, I imagine you'd be referring to our interdisciplinary studies. We have one in the Faculty of Arts, we have one in the Faculty of Social Sciences as well. The program really is designed for you to either take a 3 or 4 year pathway and just being able to customize as you see fit. Many students will go into the program and then take that first year and a half to just try a bunch of different programs within either the Faculty of Arts or Social Sciences, and then they'll commit to one afterward and then transition over into one, and that's completely fine as well. But nothing different with the application process. It's still taking your English as a base requirement, then your top 5 other best marks at the URM level, and then the average will be listed in the view book. I think it must be around a 70 to 76% average as a base average.
Okay. And you may have answered this already, but I'm looking at all the questions, so I may have missed your answer. So a grade 11 student, student studied grade 11 in an international school. This is their first year in Canada. How would you be checking the marks? I guess from the...
Yeah, so what I'd recommend, everything's very, very different because it depends on what country you're in, what kind of language requirements that may be in place as well. What kind of classes that you have completed already, and their equivalents. So what I'd recommend is reaching out if you have questions about your case specifically, because you're coming from an international environment, reach out to our admissions team. So it's admissions with an S, admissions, again with an S at the end, at uottawa.ca. Send us an email there. We'll be able to deal with it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Are there any co-op opportunities for biomedical and health sciences? Based on my knowledge, the undergraduate employment rates are relatively low compared to other programs. Don't know the answer for that.
No, the second part there, I'm not quite sure about, but in terms of clubs and associations, yeah, we have again 48,000 students on our campus, and we have a very strong STEM-based program, especially in the the health field, be it in health sciences, be it in biomedical sciences, human kinetics, or kinesiology, as some schools will call it. Again, and these students can get involved in a variety of clubs and associations, whether you're interested in more neuroscience-based and psychology-based, whether you're interested more in sports management, if you're going into, let's say, human kinetics and kinesiology, occupational therapy. The nice thing too is that, we have all these professional schools at our university. So we have a master's in occupational therapy. We have a program, things in like epidemiology at the master's level. Healthcare analytics we have in our business school. We have, again, a medical school, which has a variety of teaching opportunities, including volunteering opportunities as well. So a lot of students at the undergraduate level will be volunteering either through research internships and research placements or through our volunteering center at clinics, hospitals, and things like that. Ottawa is really a hub, especially here in the province of Ontario, for health. And we take full advantage of that and allow our undergrad students and our master students to tap into that too.
Okay. In terms of scholarships, some people I know have gotten full 100% scholarships to university. Does the University of Ottawa offer that?
Again, we don't offer in Ontario. If you're looking for an admission scholarship, the admission scholarships here in Ontario are typically capped, I would say, at a maximum of $4,000 a year. So if you're looking for, again, something equivalent to like a free ride, what you'd find in the States, for example, that would be through private donor scholarships. So I'm thinking the Lorraine, the Schulich scholarship, those ones are in excess of $100,000 scholarships. And so again, guidance will have some information about those scholarships as well and how to apply. Those ones have very strict deadlines. I think the Lorraine scholarship deadline has already passed. It was in October. Schulich, I believe, is in January, so which is coming up. So again, if you have questions about those, again, you can check out our review book. We have some of the big ones listed in there. But yes, there are some avenues that you can take. Again, even through the co-op program, for example, as I mentioned, you're making roughly $40,000 to $60,000, which for many of you will cover the entirety of your tuition over those 4 terms collectively.
Okay. Oops. Oh shoot! I just lost a question. Okay. Do students count as an international student if they are? This keeps getting. If they are not a permanent resident or citizen but live in Canada.
Yes. So we deal with it based on your status. Okay. So if you don't have you're not a PR and you're not a Canadian citizen, then you're considered an international student, and all of the international things, if you will, apply to you, including international fees and whatnot.
Okay. Schism. If they're currently in schism, is that taken into consideration? I think it really depends on what you're applying to. The program.
Again, we will only be looking at grades here at uOttawa, and then your chance to add on anything beyond your grades is going to happen through that declaration of personal experience. Okay, so that's that optional document that you have. If you believe it will help you and benefit you, and you can let us know what you're doing, how you're involved, again, perhaps how you're taking time away from class to do something else, this is your chance to let us know, including schisms. Again, we've heard everything. We've had people write us about a pet that has died in the last year. We've had people write us about the fact that they're moving, or the fact that they, have a younger sibling that needs to be taken care of, or students that are working part-time jobs afterward. Again, we all are going through things in our own life. So if you're going through something that you believe can benefit you and that you think we should know, that's your chance to let us know.
Okay. Any plans for the University of Ottawa to offer an optometry program in the future? Do you know about
Great
that at all?
question. No, optometry, optometry for whatever reason is quite hard to find here in Ontario. So I imagine that student is aware of that by looking through all the different programs at the universities here. We do have ophthalmic medical technologies. That's a program you can apply for. OMT, we call it. So ophthalmic medical technologies. So if you're looking for something at the undergrad level that will give you a bit of an understanding and a bit of a basis in some of that optometry tech, if you will, it doesn't make you go into optometry in the future, but it will help you with understanding the tech skills and becoming a technician, being able to volunteer, opening up placements in that regard, if you to build your resume in that regard, in your academic career. And then afterward, you can take that if you'd like to apply into a professional faculty for that and specialize in that, you can do that afterward.
Okay. So it's 11:24. It was supposed to be over by 11:15.
Okay.
So maybe what we'll do, everyone, I know not everyone's questions were answered, but I will say a number of your questions are very program specific. And you can go right to the University of Ottawa, type in the program that you're looking into. It will provide you with an overview of things. Would it also provide prerequisites that are needed
Yep.
Tegan, information
Yep.
like that. Scholarships, again, you can just
Yep.
type in and look up different scholarships online, specifically ones that are offered from the university or otherwise.
Or in the view book as well. Again, I'm looking just briefly through questions here. Clubs, associations, like our sports teams. Is there a golf team? Yes, there is. Again, you'll find that in the view book as well. In terms of admission scholarship, is it only offered in first year? Yes, it is. Again, that will also be listed in the view book there, along with all the other scholarships that we have. On the very end of the view book is scholarships and bursaries. Minimum grade requirements, they're also going to be in there. What classes we're taking at certain times, that'll be online. And then in terms of, general admissions questions, um, all that thing, French immersion, certain programs like biomedical, mechanical engineering, all those things will be listed in our view book as well. So definitely start there. Come by our table or our booth, whatever we're calling it today, and we'll be able to help you out and answer your questions. But thank you again,
Yeah.
everybody, for coming. I appreciate it.
Okay. And then one last thing, because I've heard this question a lot. If your grade 11, if your grade 11 grades are not good, again, take into
Mhm.
consideration that they're looking at your top marks.
Yeah.
So they'll be looking at your grade 12 marks, right? And depending on the program, they will specify which courses they're looking at.
Yeah.
Um,
We're always going
and,
to try to do our best to we're always going to prioritize prerequisites first at the grade 12 level. Again, if your grades are not very good from last year, I get this question a lot as well. You have no harm in applying early. If you know what programs you want to go into, there's no need to wait and try to miss that first round. I always joke to students that's like trying to win the lottery, right? You want 3 rows of numbers, 3 rounds to potentially get in versus just having 2 or 1. So there's no harm in doing it. If you don't get in the first round, there's no extra fee. There's no reapplication. We'll just move you automatically. And the hardest part just becomes for you to just wait and wait for a response back. But there's nothing to lose by applying for the first round. Even if you know your marks are not as competitive as you'd like them to be from last year, nothing stopping you from potentially getting an offer. Because again, the averages change every year depending on whatever this year's cohort it looks like. So give yourself a shot, apply whenever you feel ready. But again, there's nothing to lose, even if your marks aren't as what you want them to be from last year.
Okay. And you know what? I'm going to throw in one last question real quick because
Sure.
this is a really interesting question. I heard about the combination of university and college courses. How does that work? What is the process for
So
that?
some universities will have enrichment-based programs. I would recommend reaching out to your guidance office because they'll be able to help you and assist you with that. Again, depending if you want to stay local in Ottawa, if that's a question from a student in the Peel region, there'll be different universities in the area that will assist you with that. If you're a college-based student that maybe has aspirations to go into university, at uOttawa, currently there's not an enrichment program. So if you're doing all C-level classes, C and M level classes, then we will require that you maybe go to an adult high school or things like that after graduation and then complete the university level equivalents. Otherwise, there are certain universities that will have enrichment-based programs whereby you'll likely do a couple extra months or maybe even a year of extra studies before you transition into university level classes. But again, talk to guidance about that. They'll be able to narrow down what schools that offer that, and then from there you can find more information.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Again, I'm sorry we couldn't get through all your questions, but again, your guidance counselors will have some answers to these
Mhm.
questions, and you can actually just Google some of the answers for these questions. And again, you can talk to them at the booth, and you can reach out to the university, as Tegan was saying, to address certain things that you're not able to find the answers to. Okay.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
Tegan. Thanks. Thank you so much, and all the best
Thank
the rest
you.
of the day, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day at launch, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again. Good luck to you. Thanks again, Julia. Have a good one.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So